Okay, so it looks like B, right? Or
Yeah, B.
B?
B, the
Okay.
Biotank.
All right.
Sorry,
B
Bima,
and
you only
B.
get one vote. And we'll also get to your question after this as well. Oh, and yeah, for anyone else that has asked a question we haven't gotten to, we will get to that. So don't you worry. Let's just keep the
Yes,
flow going for now, though.
We'll get that on the Q&A session.
Sorry, Vyuki, you're just the only one that chose C.
You're too late.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay.
go with
Man.
Biotank.
Let me just say this for Biotank. I actually don't have that many images, so
What?
maybe there's time for a second one.
What a
No.
disappointment.
Alright. Yeah.
There's enough. There's enough. Don't worry. It's just the other ones have more.
Okay.
So,
So D seems to be the second most, so we'll probably go for D after that. So B and D.
okay. Let me just
Alright.
make it cinematic again.
BD.
So with Biotank Chamber, it's one of my more 3D heavy pieces. For this, I did a lot of 3D, and as usual, it started off with a really crude sketch, and I don't have it digitally because I actually did that. I did that sketch traditionally.
Do you do that often? Just like a quick traditional sketch?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for personal pieces, I
Okay.
do. Yeah. So this one started off really 3D heavy, and this is what I got of the first iteration of the 3D render. And this was done in Octane yet again. And I'll get back to the like how it got to this point, but the process for this one is really messed up because this piece for me was a lot of trial and error. So after I got that render, I tried to paint over it a bit more. And,
Right. So just to stop you for a bit, what software did you do the 3D?
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's even for your first sketch, it's like already finished in the eyes of
Yeah,
quite a few people.
but it's gonna get this deconstructed a little bit. Like I can
Okay.
see this is go back to it. But basically it's modeled in Blender.
Ooh.
Blender.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I really wanted to push my Blender skills because I've never done a finished Blender thing before. So
And Blender is a software, by the way. It's not the
Yeah.
actual.
yeah,
And Damien-
it's not a food blender.
Damien says Blender Master Race.
Hell yeah, man, true that. Damien has been converted. I've never seen someone get converted so quickly.
And TCK says you need a pretty high IQ for Blender.
That's also true.
Valerie says so Blender.
Are you using the box cutter plugin?
Yeah,
By any
yeah.
chance?
I'm using
Okay.
box cutter and
Makes
hard
sense.
ups. And I can talk about that a bit more when we get to the 3D thing.
Yeah,
I
and
just,
that will also transition nicely to one of the questions we got in regards of how you learned your 3D.
Okay, sure thing. So, I mean, as I was mentioning before, though, just to tangent again, it's like this piece was very up and down for me. It was all over the place. There was like, it's
Yeah.
a pretty bad one to show process for because it was just like such a roller coaster. Like I would do this, then not. Okay, so like for this, here's the original one, right? And going back, I thought this was ready to paint over, so I started to paint it over a little bit. Like I started to add some details, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Like something, I don't know. Like I just don't like it for some reason. I think the lighting is feeling a bit off. Like the character's looking a bit funny, and the character is the one thing I spent the most time on. Like,
And did you use Daz as a base?
I did use Daz, yeah. So the character kept changing because I kept asking Plata for feedback, and
Did you ask her to pose?
no.
Oh, okay.
It was just based off the Daz model and how I got lots of feedback from her on how to change it, which I really appreciated. So after doing this, I went back into 3D because I wasn't feeling it, and I redid some things. I decided, okay, I'm gonna texture things properly in 3D. So this part over here, that's a UV map. And I'm not gonna get into that, but basically basically I wanted to texture everything properly. I wanted to get the lighting like really nice. I wanted to get the
Yeah.
post-processing effects. I want everything. I want every like material to like react well. Like if it's metallic, I want it to sheen a little bit. If it's more diffused, I
Yeah.
want it to be more diffused. And so this is the
Wait,
raw render from Octane
Wow.
in the end.
so did you UV unwrap everything, or is it just like
Yes. So
a
Blender,
box
it's
mapping?
really easy. You just there's an
Oh,
automatic UV unwrap that you can do.
What? Crazy.
And yeah, it's so fast. And it's not perfect. Like a 3D modeler would cringe at it, but for concept art, it's good.
mm.
So when I went back into model, this is basically what it was looking like. When I'm working in 3D, I like to separate certain elements. Like I'll make this one darker, so I know kind of what material it might be in the end, and it
Oh
just
my
helps
God,
me
it's
divide
it's
shapes up.
2.79.
Yeah, this is 2.79. I only got into
What?
8 really recently.
Okay.
So, it helps me see the shapes a bit better when I'm modeling, and like I don't worry, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
model everything like a crazy person. Like I bought Vitaly's kit bash and like I have some of the
What?
wires. It's just basically the
That's
wires
cheating,
are
man.
like Vitaly's kit bash. Yeah, I'm cheating. I'm a horrible person, I know.
Yeah. It was a mistake to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, all right, see you guys. It's been good.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I modeled everything basically except the
Yeah.
wires, which took some time. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
time-consuming project, this, but personal work, that's what I love about personal work. You can go as crazy as you want. You can push it as far as you
Yeah.
can. And going back to Ken's point much earlier when we were still talking about Drake, yes, I do try to push myself as far as I can in projects, but just for like personal work. So this is an example where I try to do that. Um,
Mm.
so to paint over this bad boy, it's a little bit complicated. And how I decided to do it was get this render out, which is a UV
Mm-hmm.
shading UV. No, it's not a UV. It's a normal map. Sorry, forgive
Yeah.
me.
Mm.
Um, so this is a normal map, and what this allows you to do, this was a revelation for me when I found it out, is you can, if you just want to like, let's say I want to texture up this face of this like box here, but I don't want it to go on like the different angles and stuff. This is what
Oh,
Yeah.
you do.
that's really smart.
Yeah,
Oh.
you just color select that, and it doesn't select the different edges, so you've got like the automatic edge select, and then like
Oh.
you can just like paint it down like super easily, and then
Mm.
when you take it off, it's like you can you know do some crazy
Oh.
shit.
Oh, I
So
feel my IQ increasing.
so yeah, that's a really good technique if you want to
Nice.
paint over your 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is just another view, like, because I find it kind of interesting to see how the scene looks like outside of the scene
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I try to contain it, like I added a roof, so it's gonna be like pure interior lighting. And then
Oh, yeah,
actually,
yeah.
oh, God damn it, Steam is in the way of my layer.
Go away, Gabe.
Yeah. Um, so when I actually put this in Octane, I had a plane in front of here. So the lighting would be contained
Mm.
to the scene. It wouldn't get the
Yeah.
outside lighting in.
Uh,
Um,
Mm.
so yeah, that's just
so
an
it gets
example
like
of that.
it gets a proper interior bounce lighting.
Yeah. And then after painting over and everything, got the final result. Yay.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I can break down a
Wow.
few things. These are just like some lights on a
Nice.
screen layer.
Yeah.
Um, C Corp, which is like an inside joke with me and my South African friends.
Oh,
I
with
hope,
Jagatech.
I really hope they saw that. I really hope they caught that.
Oh.
um, if not, that's a shame. Um,
Just put in Jagatech, man.
yeah, that's the other heavy industry inside joke we have. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, it's a bit of a wild ride, this one, and I'm sorry I don't
Mm.
have it more in depth, but
Mm.
Yeah.
I try
I'm
to just find what I can, because
Mm-hmm.
quite curious, since this is your personal work where you push the 3D stage to the limit, right? But what about when you have to do a client work that's quite fast, what's your go-to workflow for that? Do you go from
It's
like
still
sketching on an
no,
uh,
it's yeah, basically it's rough sketching in Photoshop.
mhm.
Um, it'll probably take a while for me to find an example of that. Okay, I won't show an example of that, but basically it's rough sketching in
Yeah.
Photoshop, then um, then it's Blender, then it's Octane. And if it's a fast turnaround, I don't spend time in either of those things, and I do most of the
Mm,
work in Photoshop and a photo bash on top
I
of it.
see. I see.
Okay,
So yeah.
Yeah. But it
Um,
turned out
cool.
really awesome, dude.
oh,
It's
Yeah.
one of your best pieces, I think.
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Because you don't do
Debatable.
as much interior. No, but you know, it's refreshing to see an interior piece from you.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
another thing I want to. When I'm working with personal work, I always want to push things that I haven't done before. Like there are instances where I've done a creature and I've never like done
Mm.
creatures
I
before,
think
or
I think that's
yeah.
what's impressive about your portfolio. Like when I go to your art station, I see a lot of different genres from fantasy to sci-fi and even creatures, like you said.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this would also be a good time to have a look at your more fantasy or historical piece, which is the second
The
most
boat,
popular.
Which one
Yeah,
was that? Sorry.
the ship, the boat, the.
the
Oh,
broadsides.
this
Yeah,
one. Yeah. All right. Um.
Bring out the D.
Okay.
yeah. Bring out the D, the big D.
You're gonna get the D, man. Um. So this one, you're gonna see a similar pattern, I think. But there is some pretty useful information in this one too, I think. So yeah, let's do it. Um,
That's.
let's do it, man, as Silver would say. Um, so this one started off. No, I did not model these ships. um, so basically, what this is, what you see here is, I did texture the ships though. I had to texture them, which was a pain in the ass. Um, what you see here is
Crazy,
there's
man.
two models and then some 3D code geometry over here. Let me choose a more obvious thing. So what this is, that's the 3D code blobs that I've put on a emission material.
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So that's actually geometry, those bits of light. Um,
Yeah.
the waves that you're seeing here was also done in 3D code, and this is using a stencil map. And a stencil map is basically a displacement map, but in 3D code, and it's more like
Right.
interactive. You can model with it. So basically, that's just a
I
wave.
see.
I think it's a wave normal map, and I just extruded it from the geometry, and that's how I got the waves over here.
Nice.
All right.
When you said you had to texture the ship,
Yeah.
did you
okay.
have to unwrap it?
No, so the ship is meant to be textured, but when I imported it, like everything was messed up. So I had to like
Oh.
redo it. And it was just
And
luckily the model was already like UV'd because the modeler who like made it did a really good job.
where do you get such high quality models? Of this ship, for
I
example.
can't remember the site on the top of the head. It's never like one site. It's like I have to I have to go through like a lot of shit to like find a good one. But I can try find it afterwards and I'll let you know.
And I guess for 3D models that you've downloaded, you also keep it in a library that
Yeah.
you've organized as well.
Especially this one because ships are so hard to find. Yeah. So basically, after this step, I wanted to experiment with something new in Octane that I've never tried before, and that is
Yes.
a VDB. And basically, the smoke that you see here was done in Octane. And what a VDB is like don't ask me to explain it because it's like black magic to me. But basically, when you import a VDB into Octane, this is what you get: this black mess. And
It's literally black magic.
yeah, it is literally black magic when you throw it in. But then when you play around with the sliders a bit, I increased the brightness of the the color, because the color is black. If you just raise the color, it turns into this, and it looks like
Yeah.
an explosion and stuff.
Yeah.
If I just Google a VDB like really quickly, just to show you.
Do you downloaded this?
Yeah, these are like you can find online.
Is there anything you make by yourself, man?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Trust me, man. I'm not a phony, guys. Please. This is what happens when you share your secrets, though. All the magic is gone. So this is
not
like
true,
a
man.
really detailed like VDB, and this is what it looks like. But when you bring it into Octane, it just looks like this, and then you fine tune it, it looks like this, and then when you get all the settings right, it looks like this, and then when you have the lighting, it looks like this. So it looks really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just a close up of that.
Wait, it's
that's
called VDB.
It's like a
Yeah.
dot VDB, like there's a dot in front of it. It should be yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's basically volumetrics. That's what it stands for. Thank you,
I
chat.
see.
um,
So how did you know about this in the first place? Because I've never even heard of a
because
VDB at all.
I learned Octane from Julian Gauthier's really amazing tutorial on Octane, and it's
Gumroad?
you can
Yes.
find it on ArtStation and on Gumroad. If you ever want to get into Octane, that is the first tutorial I would ever point to because it is so damn good. It
Yeah.
covers everything, and he mentions VDBs in it, and that's how I found out about it.
Would you
and-
recommend the one for beginners at first, or?
Yeah, definitely. And I would also, if you're picking up Octane, just be careful about what your stats are on your computer. You need a NVIDIA card, at least for now. It doesn't work with AMD. It's a purely graphics card based render software, so you need a pretty good graphics card if you're going to do stuff like this.
Out of curiosity, what's your graphics card at the moment?
It's a 1070 GTX 1070.
Oh, okay. Not SLI.
I'm not sure. Sorry.
So
I mean,
basically,
do
this
you have two of them at one? Do you have two of them?
No.
Running at the
I've
same
only got
time?
one.
Okay.
I'm not that crazy. Like I'm not that rich.
yeah, not like Vitaly.
Yeah.
But yeah, bottom line
think
is,
it's got-
guys,
it's
if
got
there's one
10.
thing you can take away from it, it's that this workflow is for rich people only.
No. No. You can do really good stuff on like a really affordable PC. It's just when it comes to volumetrics, that's when it becomes very resource heavy. So if you've been smart and you're working with like really low poly like models and stuff, then you can put heavy poly stuff in as well, or resource heavy things, and it will still work fine. It's just if you, for instance, let's say you're working with 3D code, all right, and 3D code you get a lot of geometry out of that. So you put the 3D code thing in, and then you put in volumetrics as well. That's gonna destroy your PC unless you have like two like really good cards, and that's that's if you want to be like Paul Chideson, you know. that is concept art for rich people, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This could actually, since we are on the mention of resources as well, this would be a good time, I think, to answer one of the earlier questions we've gotten from Thea. It's good to see you on the chat again. Is that, hi, do you have any tips on specific tutorials on using 3D for concept art, please? I know Mache and Eitan Zana have some, but I'm always looking to expand my library.
Okay.
So one of the ones you mentioned was Julian Gauthier. And do you have any others that really helped you out?
And there is Julian Gauthier. If you want to learn 3D code, I would recommend Yama's Learn Squared course. He has Introduction to 3D Concept Art, and that covers everything you need to do with 3D code. And I think that's actually where Eitan Zana learns how to use 3D code. So go to the source, if you will. But that being said, Eitan Zana's recent 3D Code tutorial is also really awesome. Like you can learn a ton from that one.
Mm-hmm.
What else? For Blender, I would recommend Vaughn Lin. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I think it's
Yeah.
Vaughn Lin. And he streams on the daily about Blender on YouTube. It's free, but he also
Yeah.
has paid tutorials, and they're really awesome.
Yeah. He's like a Blender evangelist. He's like
He-
converting people by the masses. you know?
Yeah, he's basically the Blender guy.
Yeah.
But
Are you using his custom interface for
No,
Blender?
no, I don't.
I think that's something that I, well, not dislike, but just a warning for people who follow his
yeah.
tutorial is
It's
that he fully customizes his Blender.
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous. If you want to get into Blender properly, I would recommend maybe Yama's tutorials that he has. He has like a Patreon and he covers a lot of Blender stuff, and he uses some add-ons, like he uses hard ups and he uses box cutter, but I use those two and they're really good. If you ever use Blender, I'd recommend using those two plugins. They're really cheap too. Like all of that will cost you cheaper than 3D Code probably, and 3D Code is one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
Box cutter is life changing
Yeah, it is.
for me personally.
Yeah, it is. It is so awesome.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions, or can I get back into the?
There are other ones, but it'll be for the Q&A session later.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Go
So
on, dude.
yeah, just to finish this process off, like after the render, now I'll start painting, and I s- I wanted to focus on the waves first. So for anyone who knows me, I really love waves, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
So I really wanted to make them try look as good as I can this time. I don't know if I was successful in that, but I tried my best. So I started off with just some like rough like photo placement, and I wanted to think about like how it would match the scene. So for close-up water, I really wanted to find a photo of like close-up water, and I would use that, and I would like paint out. I would still sort of match it to the 3D lighting, because the 3D lighting was like very nice, and I didn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And I think in one of my, I had a similar piece like this. It's called Cannon Fire, and that was also based off 3D. And I think one of the things I lost in that was the 3D lighting, and I lost a lot of the lighting information, and that's one lesson I wanted to try and improve
see.
on, I guess, this time. So I painted out wherever the 3D lighting was. I photo bash in more and paint in more. It's important with waves to actually paint over them, because they're the one
juicy.
things that just look
Yeah.
so good when they're painted over. Like,
Yeah.
so I try to mix that photo and painterly look. Like add in like.
And you manually painted it in, right?
Yeah. A lot of this is
I mean,
manually
you've had a lot of
painted.
practice through your studies as well.
For this reason. Yeah.
It's all for this
Dude,
one
I think it's paid off, because the waves do look great, to answer your earlier question.
Thanks, man. But yeah, I've got a long way to go, if I may say so for myself. And yeah, just continuing refining. Wait, let me just go a step back. Yeah, I added more debris, like just to add some more excitement to the image, some more action.
Yeah.
So juicy.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
man. And just reducing the 3D a bit by like painting over it as I go on.
Yeah.
And going back to it, like let's add some tears into the sails,
Yeah.
so it's not so stale.
Yeah.
Haha, that rhymed. Loosening things up using like painterly strokes, like adding.
Oh
to
yes,
the-
I see them now that I zoom in.
Yeah,
You
so
zoom in closer.
so things are getting like very loose now, but that's what I wanted to do, because usually I don't do that. So
Yeah.
adding some highlights in the back just to like add some more
Yeah.
depth to the piece.
That's really nice, dude.
And yeah, just like brush strokes everywhere.
Yeah.
And then just some like I wanted to enhance the light even more, so I just
Yeah.
added some some lighten layers and some
Oof,
screen
oof.
layers.
I must say that the lighting in this piece is really top notch.
Thank you, man. I was really trying to
It's crazy
focus
good.
on that.
Yeah, man.
Oh, you guys make me blush. So yeah, just continuing working on it, and I decided to add some guys firing some little guns on top.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah. It's a very small detail, but
You know what would have been quite cool too is like some of the guys like just being blown off the ship.
I
and then
know,
just falling to the
I
water.
know.
Or like jumping off the ship.
Yeah.
I wish, man. I was too lazy. No excuses.
Yeah.
I was just too lazy. And yeah, that's the final result.
I think that's the crazy
Awesome.
part is that, it's so 3D heavy, the workflow, but the result just looks painterly and just natural. You really lose a lot of that 3D stiffness that is, I think, quite prevalent in some
hope
people's
so.
work.
Looking at it now again, I could have done more to do that, but
Hey,
yeah,
you can always do another piece, right, to improve upon it.
that's true, man. Always have to get better. Always have to improve.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in on that wave that's crashing in front of the ship?
Yeah.
I think that
specific request.
that
but-
part there.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I just find that part there really juicy.
thanks.
Yeah. Ken's getting all hot and
texture and
bothered
color.
now.
All moist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. You don't even want to know what it's doing to Ken right now.
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
either, man.
Let's not get into that topic.
Yeah, that's for another podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, that's this image. I hope people maybe learn something out of it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
Definitely.
sure that I'm even just seeing the process for myself. It just amazes me just how much you've progressed, dude, from your early stages of just using like Keyshot back then and other 3D programs. And
Yeah.
you've come a long way, dude.
I mean, if there's any advice I can give to anyone, it's just never be afraid to break your workflow with something new. Just like always stay interested with if it's programs that keep you interested, like experiment with programs. If it's different styles, experiment with different styles, but never be afraid to just like try something different.
Yeah.
And
No, that's really wise words, man.
and me coming from FZD, I was always focused on that one workflow that I learned from the school, but eventually I broke away from it.
It's actually really tough to break away from that
It is.
LCD way.
Yeah, it is for sure, man. I mean, that's all you're doing for 1 year, so it's like pretty much what you're used to, and it's like you've become comfortable with it, but you have to get out of that comfort zone. You just have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And
And I think your
speak-
your work just shows the importance of it in terms of just evolving as an artist, is having these kinds of personal learning pieces.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And speaking about future work, just now, I have a question about that. What do you think will be important to learn for the future of being in the concept art industry? Maybe VR, or do you think there's any kind of new wave of program that's gonna be really useful for the future?
I must.
Basically, what he's asking is, what will you do when the AIs take over?
I must admit, man, I don't know much about it. So I'm not like too interested in like the VR scene and stuff. It's just I haven't like done enough research to like know about it. But I mean, I've been seeing some. I mean, if you see some of the works that have been done in VR, it looks like so fun and so cool. I would definitely like to try it. And who knows, maybe the industry will go that way. It would be really funny to see everyone in the office with their like VR headsets.
Yeah.
It'll look like a
Future
sci-fi
workplaces
film.
would be really different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be.
Have you seen the Facebook VR app? Everyone will be just meeting on Facebook in VR.
Yeah, as long as it's not like that VR chat that's on Steam, where everyone's just like a meme.
I mean, as long as my avatar can be a sexy female, I'm cool with that.
Oh my god.
Are you gonna be the Ugandan Knuckles?
Yeah.
Get the boys and start clucking.
It's definitely a tough question. If you had to choose one meme to represent you, what would it be?
That's an idea, man. Stop giving us ideas.
Next podcast, man, ask that. Just don't ask me that now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Damien also says, Marco is the Buddha of concept art. Teach me to reach nirvana.
Damien, you reached nirvana a long time ago, man. I don't need to teach you nothing.
Yeah, he's ascended into the wires.
Yeah.
And
but thanks,
TCK
dude.
also says that I already made that choice.
What, the meme choice?
I think becoming Ugandan Knuckles. Yeah. You know the way.
I mean, good taste. Good taste.
Well, actually, it's been 2 hours, almost
Yeah.
2 hours since we've started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time flies.
Should we move on to Q&A?
Oh yes. I
yeah.
think let's do that and wrap up with some of the questions that have been asked.
All right.
And if you guys also have
Yeah.
any other questions, please let us know. And after that, we will be moving on to the artwork of the week session and closing it off with a quickfire session.
Sounds good.
Oh yeah.
Alright. Okay, so one of the questions that we have gotten earlier on, Bima has actually a couple of questions. I think this one you can just answer very briefly. How many hours did you spend on each sketch for Drake, including the 3D stuff?
It was usually, I think all the sketches together was maybe 6 hours in total. What you have to keep in
alright.
mind is I'm doing this after a daytime job as well. So I didn't actually have that much time.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's crazy, dude.
you got cut off for me. Like, how long did it take?
About like 6 hours for the sketches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty damn fast still. All right, and Bima.
How long was
also-
the project in? Sorry, how long was the project in total?
It lasted about a month, I think.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Mhm. And Bima also has another question. So, question. When you aren't feeling your painting, what do you do to diagnose what's wrong? Do you have a checklist like value, texture, or color, things like that?
Yeah, there's usually I find that it's like three things. It's either gonna be something's up with the lighting,
Yeah.
something's up with the values, or something is up with perspective. I find for me it's always those three things. And usually how I notice these things is like if I like have a small break from the painting, I can just like come back and see. Like usually it's a lot more
see.
apparent. Yeah. So
Right.
even if
So
it's as
taking
simple,
a break is quite crucial then.
yeah, but I mean even if it's as simple as something as like getting up from your computer, just like stretching for a bit, and then like coming
Yeah.
back and taking a look with just like some fresh
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
I think
Hitting the gym,
coming
lifting
back-
some weight.
yeah. Well, coming back to the Biotank image that you showed just now, you mentioned that you noticed that there was something wrong with the image, but couldn't really figure out.
Okay, I can break that
What's wrong?
bit down a little bit.
Yeah, maybe you can talk more about why you thought
Yeah.
that it was not working out.
Okay,
Yeah.
so at this point, when I was working on this, what I didn't like was something about the architecture in itself was putting me off a bit. So, for instance, I really hated how this pillar here divided the image up a little bit. So, for me, it felt like it made this little piece like pointless over here, and it was ruining the like sort of
The flow, I
directional
guess.
flow. So it was just it was dividing up the piece too much, and and I think in the middle here it's fine because it's like the focal point, but just on these edges it wasn't working out for me. So I decided to take those away when I remodeled it. So now there's nothing there. It's just keeping it simple, and I really wanted all the detail to like be here with just
Yeah.
some like interesting things here and there to add some some cool interest points to the piece.
I see. That's a really good fix, I think. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel the flow working much better.
But at this point as well, I wasn't feeling the character. What was really hard for me was getting the hair right. I just had no idea. Like if it went up like this, it looked like those like ridiculous toy dolls, or like the
Yeah.
Oblivion,
The Trolls dolls.
or like the annoying fan from Oblivion. But so yeah, I wanted to fix that. Like I liked how the hands looked and the feet looked and the legs, and I like kind of the lighting. It was getting this nice like subsurface effect, or this like bounce light. I
Right.
think is probably the more accurate term. And I wanted to enhance that. So I didn't. Let me just check it again. Yeah. So yeah, at that point, it's just like I didn't like certain bits about the character, and I really hated this texture that I came up with. It just like wasn't working for me. It made the light feel funny. It wasn't. It looked like it wasn't reacting properly. So that's why I just
see.
decided to go back in 3D, like really get that popped bounce light coming out. I mean the hair I would sort out later for the character.
Right. It's interesting because Damien actually said that he likes that texture on the walls, and he's wondering if it was UV or photo bash.
UV or photo bash.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted there. um, yeah, TCK's comment threw me off. Like what? um, um, damn, what was I talking about? Yeah, so basically going back
The
into
bounce
3D.
lighting that you like.
Yeah. So now, as you can see, the lighting is like reacting like way better, and I wanted to get the floor details. I didn't like how I handled the floor. If I had to go back for a second,
Yeah.
like it
I think
was looking.
the addition of the floor lighting really add a lot
Yeah.
to the environment.
Yeah, it's like I feel like this whole piece, like if you had to zoom out, that whole like bottom section was kind of lost, especially if I was gonna make
Yeah.
it like darker. So I decided to add that extra light in just to pop those areas up a bit more. And
So
Yeah.
in the end, what did you do with the character?
in the end, I put lots of effects on top of her, so you could not see what it looked like. No, I made the hair like branch out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I decided that this mask would be cool, and to have the wires, because at first the wires were just like this, but I wanted to have the wires like interlacing with like the arms and stuff, and like going in and out, just to add a bit more interest.
He looks like she looks like Vegeta.
Yeah.
I thought she looked like Sonic.
Sanic.
What I didn't tell you guys is that this is official concept art for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, dude.
I just forgot to make it blue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would explain why he turned out the way he did.
Yeah.
Wait, was the hair photo bashed?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a bit of both. It was
Okay.
painting and photo bash. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and
Also says, I'm worshipping from home, burning some incense in your honor.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. You've
I've
got
made-
a lot of cult followers.
I've made Philip do daily tributes, so yeah, I'm glad he's keeping it up.
Yeah, the moment he stops, you lose all of your concept
Yeah,
art
that's-
powers.
That's when I make the announcement: friendship over.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Glad you're here, Phil, tuning in.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. Glad to have you here. And all right,
Oh,
I think this would be a.
sorry, I forgot if has he answered Damien's question about the wall texture?
Oh, was it UV or photo bash?
Or photo bash.
The earlier
The
wall
first
texture.
iteration.
This over here, right? So yeah, it was UV.
The previous one. The one
The
that you
first
didn't
3D
like.
one.
That one. This was just like photo bashed and like painted in. And
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that's what working in.
Okay.
But the later version, this is UV'd and it's normal mapped as well. So that's why the lighting is reacting different on these different materials, and that's why
Man,
it looks
yeah.
so nice. If I may say so
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. There's so much like to just go into this because it's quite a technical workflow.
Yeah,
Like seeing all the
it's very
settings.
technical. I could be here all day, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why. But no, even just seeing the evolution of the piece is already inspiring enough.
Well, glad you're inspired, man. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Hashtag inspired. All right, so I think
Inspired
we'll
and
just close
moist.
up the Q&A session right now
Yeah,
and
sounds good.
move on to the next
Art of the
segment, which is Artwork of the Week, the segment of the podcast where we show artwork that has left an impression on us or thought
Or
we
in this
was really nice.
case, left an impression on Marco.
Wait, what's going on? Sorry, guys.
We're doing the Artwork of the Week
Art
segment.
of the week.
All right, cool. Are you guys gonna start with this?
No, it's
No,
just
No,
you.
you are.
Okay, okay.
It's just you.
My bad, my
Yeah,
bad.
no one cares about what we like.
Oh. All right, so let's do this. So the first piece is Alexander Menshikov. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Don't kill me, please. But yeah, I really love this piece. It like reminded me a lot of No Man's Sky, and it's just full
Of
of
South Africa.
and yeah, South Africa, and yeah, the colors are just beautiful. Like the detail, like
Yeah.
all the little weird creatures. It's just so much to look at, and it's just a damn good piece, son. It's a damn good piece.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So the next one is good old Doge. I don't know.
Yeah, color Dorje.
Names are not my thing, but
Yeah,
yeah, this piece is just too many things to say about it. Like the accurate curvature of the planet in the background. Oh my god! And like the shape of like, the towers and stuff, and like the way he painted the ice is just so inspiring, and I love this piece.
yeah, man.
The shape
He's-
language
he's
too.
really
Is,
great.
it's always his thing. Like he's so good with shape language.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Dezu.
Nani Dezu.
Nani Dezu. Yeah, this design is just really cool. Like the cargo bit here just feels like so nice and functional. I can picture it working, and like the shape is unusual, which I like, and I just love the chunky design language and all the interesting little details. It's a solid design, and yeah, there's just nothing like looking at a good solid sci-fi spaceship design. It always pleases me. Yeah.
Yes, this pleases me.
Yes, I am very pleased. So yeah, those are my three artworks.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, straight to the point. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should read the comments as well in the chat.
What's
There's
with
some
the
really funny
comments?
ones.
Oh, God. Shit's getting memed up.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, yeah, it's really cool to see what kind of artworks you're inspired by as well. And they're quite different to the level of finish that you do. But yeah, it goes to show that inspiration can come from many places
Definitely, man.
and
I
not
love,
just from the same, birds of a feather.
yeah, I love all corners of the arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love everything.
Yeah.
Even you, Jordan.
Yeah.
All right,
Even
so
you.
even me, I know. That's just out of pity, probably.
No, dude, no, come on.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's move on to the last segment of the podcast where we grill Marco with some quickfire questions.
Boy. Go for
Oh
it.
boy.
All right, Ken, would you like to kick things off?
Me?
Yeah.
Alright. Let's start with the first question. Try to answer as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Alright. First question. Waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes.
And then second question.
All right.
What is your favorite
What is your
sports?
favorite sports?
Okay, Jordan, let's...
What?
Yeah, alternate.
Okay. Alternate. Yep.
Wait, what's the question?
What is your favorite sport?
Oh, my favorite sport? Can it be an e-sport?
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Sure.
I don't have a
What
favorite
e-sport,
sport.
then?
I don't have a favorite sport
what
or
game?
e-sport. I don't watch sport.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Third question. Can you belly dance?
No. That's a weird question.
And number 4 is gonna get even weirder. Can you beard dance?
Yes. And actually, Damien reminded me of my favorite sport, and that's jiu-jitsu.
Oh yes, that's right.
Thanks, Damien. I
And
don't know why I forgot about that.
Well, I think Vlada also answered your question for you, which is golf.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely my family's favorite sport.
Yeah, you're gonna get into it too eventually, man.
Maybe,
once you start
maybe.
retiring, you know.
Let's see.
And Damien's right. It's not an art podcast unless it's jujitsu focused.
If I can somehow
My
combine
God.
golf and jiu-jitsu, then that would be the perfect sport.
Just choke people out with a golf club.
I think that would for sure be my favorite sport.
Yeah, make it happen, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next
Next
question.
question. Favorite band of all time?
Oh. Ooh. I think I want to say it's between In Flames and Dark Tranquility. Both death metal bands. And that's just because of the impact they've had on my life. I like grew up with them. And
That makes you chill, right?
yeah. What's
Yeah.
that?
That makes you chill as you are now.
Yeah, the reason why I maintain such a chill vibe is because I'm just listening to music about like killing people and stuff.
Exactly.
All right, next question. Favorite game of all time?
Dark Souls, easy.
Nice. And then next question. Would you rather eat 100 sushi-sized steak or 1 steak-sized sushi?
I don't like sushi. Whichever one would be. Ah, damn. I think if I was forced to eat it, probably maybe the steak size sushi, because then at least maybe like there's more rice than like the raw fish and stuff. so yeah.
All right. Next question. Favorite childhood snack?
I don't know if you guys will know about it, but it's a South African thing. It's called like Fritos. And
Oh, I think I know. It's like corn snacks. Right?
yeah, it's like corn like chips. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they
nice.
had this like spicy tomato flavor that was really good. I used to really, I just ate them all the time as a kid, pretty much.
Like a salsa flavor?
Not as. It's a bit more simple than that, I think. The taste,
Oh.
yeah. It's just really.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. It's been a while.
All right.
If you can be on the world record, what record would you set?
Oh my god, that's such a weird question. I would like to be the fastest shredder in guitar. That'd be a cool one, I think.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah,
All right. Next question. Rainy days or sunny days?
sunny days.
Favorite country you've been to?
Oh man, why is this so hard? I think maybe Netherlands. Yeah,
Interesting.
at least out of the
Alright.
more. Actually, Bali is up there too. Maybe. Yeah,
Wait,
Alright.
where?
Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indonesia. Come on, man.
Pride.
You should know where that is.
That's not a
Bali.
country.
Oh, right. It's not. Oh my God.
It's not a country.
Oh no. What is
You've
it
just
then?
shown to the world. Bali is my country.
Oh my god. Forgive my
That was
ignorance.
spontaneous. You just revealed to the world how ignorant you are, man.
England is my city, bro.
Yeah.
Well, if it's
All
part
right.
of Indonesia, then Indonesia.
Yeah. All right. Awesome, dude. We'll take that. If you don't mind, Ken, you can ask the next one as well, and I'll want to ask the last quickfire question.
Okay, sure. So the 12th question: have a full head of hair or a full-on beard?
The eternal question. And I'm gonna go with beard.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna have much hair left anyway.
It's not a biased opinion, I promise you.
I see. All right, and the final question as well. What was the most fun that you've had on a painting?
You know which one it is. I don't need to answer that.
This is a little bit of an inside joke because Marco actually had a photo on his Facebook page way back then of a painting that he did before FZD, and he labeled it as the most fun that he's ever had painting, and he's taken it down since. And I still have an image of it saved somewhere on my old FZD laptop. So I'm like the holder, of the last traces of it.
You're the keeper of the law, man.
I know, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, that's actually
Well,
all the quickfire questions that we have.
Yeah.
Great, because I don't want to be caught off guard again, like that fucking country question.
Yeah, dude, and it's like been 2 hours, 24 minutes,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you guys, like I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah, dude, my
And,
mind
yeah.
is like all over the place.
I know, it's been a long one, dude, but it's been an awesome one, and I'm sure everyone in the chat can agree that
Yeah.
this has been a great episode, and we really appreciate you taking your time to show us the behind the scenes exclusive looks behind your process and just sharing your story, man. It's really been, personally for me, it's been a huge inspiration just seeing where you've come from and where you've gone to now.
Thanks, man. I think, if I must say so myself, I think your story is also very inspirational for me as well. So
Thanks,
I
dude.
think we inspire each other a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, it means a lot to hear that, bro. All right, so we are finally at the end of the episode, and yeah, thank you so much as well to everyone in the chat that stayed to watch. It's been a long one, but you guys made it a lot more fun than it is as well. And of course, if you want to see more of Marco's amazing works and designs, please follow him on his ArtStation and Instagram. And of course, we have links to the Drawing Table social media as well. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook for updates on upcoming content, on YouTube to watch our previous episodes, and of course on Twitch to catch future episodes live.
Thanks, boy.
Oh my gosh, the comments. It's great. You guys just make this stream so much fun. And we also now have a Facebook group as well for our community, which you can join on the link that will be on the screen and in the description of the video. And yeah, once again, thanks so much, Marco. We really appreciate you taking the time.
For sure.
I appreciate everyone that tuned in, take the time to listen to me. Thanks so much, guys. It means a lot.
Yeah, it'll be cool to have you on maybe for future episodes, even for a chill session.
For sure,
And
dude. Just
whatnot.
don't ask me questions about countries and it's all good.
I can't promise you that.
Yeah, alright.
It's definitely been a really informative session. One of the most informative sessions that we've had. So
Yeah, I mean,
thank you so much for
that's
that.
great to hear. I'm glad you guys liked it. So. Alright, guys.
All right.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, we'll see you all at the next Drawing Table podcast. Take
See you
care,
guys.
everyone.
Cheers.
See
See
you
you.
guys. Bye bye.